Hey there, everyone. This is Mystic Fish. Welcome to episode 100, if you can believe it, of our Factorio Space Age series where we're working on upgradable bases. Last episode, we said we were waiting on overgrowth soil generation, and so we beefed up our production of biter eggs from Novice. Unfortunately, while we were off camera, I had a disaster kind of struck. So what happened was, you can see this bioflux actually is like fairly spoiled. I think because I need to actually just do, I actually need to do this. Actually, I didn't even do this. I need to get fresh bioflux in there. But anyway, because I had not done that, I had not fresh bioflux coming in, and then it was spoiling inside the captive biter nests. And so if you look, when this spoils, we get spoilage in here. And I didn't have any way to get the spoilage out of there. And so eventually this filled up with spoilage. And so when some of the bioflux spoiled, but the trash slot was full, I got spoilage in here, which prevented new bioflux from getting put in, which meant all of these guys eventually like broke away. Now, fortunately, because I had Spidertrons sitting here and Tesla cannons, like the biters didn't like totally get out of control, but I had to like come and fix that. So now we've got spoilage ejectors from all of these, so that's good. We just fixed the what bioflux we're putting in, so that's okay. Trashing unrequested, so anything that spoils in there we get rid of, so I think that will be better. And then what else did we do? I then also realized, I didn't have to if something went wrong, I didn't have any way to recapture these guys. So now I've got CaptureBot rocket turrets set up all around these so that we can recapture them if necessary. Which then I realized I didn't have any common robot frame production here. So I added that as well. So I think we're now back in sort of action here on this front. But that was a nasty little surprise for us. I also because this is the main place extra biter eggs come, I added extra burners around here just to make sure we can really get rid of any undemanded biter eggs. So that stuff should be good. And I got a Tesla cannon up here too. So good. Let's see, what else do we have? Back here. Okay, so I had mentioned that I had done the math wrong on the upcycling. Now, and we need a lot more orchards. Now, one of the things that I don't think I mentioned, but I may not have mentioned, but here on Fulgora, I decided to make uncommon prod module 3s. As you can see, these guys have a quality plus 3.2% as opposed to the plus 2.5% that we get here. So that's a big boost. Now, I went and did the calculations to produce the amount of science we need something like 165 uncommon jelly nuts per minute. Oh, I should also say we're also getting neighbors wandering by, which the stompers like totally take out the rails as they do that. So I may like go venture out and like clear this stuff with the Spidertrons. I think we've seen what that looks like, so I don't think I'll do that on camera. But anyway, when I did the math, I think what it works out to is that I'm going to need 10 ag towers generating common quality jelly nut in order to upcycle them into the required amount of uncommon. So that's what I did. And then, because we're going to lose all of the seeds from those ag towers, we need to generate seeds to replace them. And so we need the other orchards to sort of replace the seeds that we would otherwise be losing. So let's do a little bit of design stuff here. We're going to have this, we're going to take a look at this. Now, One of the things that I was thinking is because of how many orchards are necessary, we're probably going to end up with outposts. And so ideally, like this is what we want, right? We want a maximum productivity seed processing, right? This gives me a plus 90%, which means if I can get an orchard or sort of a, I don't know, one ag tower worth here and process all of its seeds at this level of productivity, that one orchard can sort of make up for 0.9 of another orchard where we're losing all the seeds. And so if we need 10 orchards for or 10 ag towers to make the uncommon fruit we want, then we need 10 divided by 0.9, which works out to like, I think 11 ag towers to make seeds. So the question is, and now since we're going to have outposts, what I really wanted to figure out was, can I do this in a way that can just be done with jelly nuts? Because that makes it easier because, you know, as we can see on the map, right, like there's not always like there's a whole stretch of like Yamako, you know, territory. And so they're not always next, you know, we don't necessarily easily have both fruits. And so being able to just use jelly nuts to do it would be ideal. Now, I think as we've seen before, jelly nuts, there's not a really great option for generating nutrients here to power the biochambers. And so the best solution that I came up with is is to basically, and we have done this in some other builds, but it's basically to take the jelly out of here, let it spoil into spoilage, and then use the spoilage to make nutrients. And so that's kind of the best Jellynut-only way of doing that. Now, the problem with this is that, as you can see, this generates a little over 6 jelly per second, which, as long as we have enough place to store the jelly to give it time to spoil, is essentially 6 spoilage per second. But this consumes 10 spoilage a second. So, and which, you know, maybe is okay. Let's actually do the math on this. So let's see. We have 6.07 jelly. We're only going to get that much out of here. So if we divide that by 10 and then multiply by the 1.5 nutrients that gives us, this will generate 0.91 or so nutrients per second. However, this is consuming 2.1 megawatts worth of nutrient energy. And if we take a look, one nutrient is worth 2 megajoules. So this is actually not producing enough nutrients. And so meaning that the amount of spoilage we get out of here doesn't generate enough nutrients to keep both of the, or even to keep this one running, but certainly this one also needs nutrients. So we need to do a little bit better. And I will say I did a little bit of work on this ahead of time. 1, 2. So this is where we can use efficiency modules in beacons. And this is interesting. So you can put efficiency modules in beacons. Most of the time people are putting speed modules in here. But we want as many prod modules in here as we can get. But efficiency, ordinarily reduces pollution and electricity, but for biochambers, it reduces the nutrient consumption. So if you look now it's only consuming 1.2 megawatts. And so, which might be enough to make this work, especially if we put some more stuff in here. What is this? These are these guys coming through again. I mean, the defenses are holding up. The stompers do a lot of damage. I think I had been resisting doing the artillery upgrades, but I think I'm going to need to do them eventually once we get science restarted. We'll see how much of an interruption that is, and we'll see if we have to take a break to go deal with those neighbors over there. Okay, so now this only consumes 1 kilowatt. So now the question is, let's do the math again. This is producing 0.91 nutrients. This is now consuming 1.2 megawatts. This is consuming 0.1 megawatts. So put that together, that's 1.3, which we add that by 2 because there's 2 megawatts per nutrient. It's 0.65. And this is now, we said this was able to generate 0.91. So this is actually, this will do it. This is enough to have this produce both net spoilage and net nutrients, which is, I think, what we want, because that will help us bootstrap stuff. Okay, so let's take this out, and now we can do the rest of our design. I'm going to get a little more of this. So what is this going to look like? I think we want these to work in pairs here. And the general idea is we're going to get the spoilage and the jelly out here. So spoilage and jelly. Like that. This will just be spoilage. And then we want nutrients being fed down here. So this guy will power this guy. This guy will power this guy. And then we need these two to power each other. So we'll do this. And so as long as we can get some initial nutrients in here and we have enough spoilage, this should be able to run continuously. Now, we do have to do the seeding, as I mentioned. And so I think what we want in general is we want fruits coming in this way, and we want seeds coming back out this way. And so I think what that means, in order to get this started, it means down at the end of this, I mean, we're going to do enough so that we get 10 copies of this, which maybe we can just see what that's going to look like. So let's just copy, I don't know, like this much. And let's see, that I think is where those can be. And then if I copy all of this, then it'll help me line it up. So that gives me the 6, the 8, and the 10. Okay, so we need all of that. And then I think down here, what we're going to want is the same thing, but with assembly machines. And so here, I think we may as well get as much productivity as we can out of this. Although the reality is, I guess it's okay. Maybe we just balance it out here. And then here we're gonna do this machine, and we may as well get as much productivity as we can out of this, and then you need one of these, like that. Okay, and then basically what we'll do is we need things to seed each other this way. So we want this to generate enough spoilage in here that when it gets excess, it can send it down to this one. And then when this one has excess spoilage, down to this one, etc. And that's how we can seed this at the beginning. And so I think we want this to look like this, sending the spoilage down here. And I think we actually want these on the inside, which means this stuff, here, I'm going to just get this stuff out of the way of the middle here for a minute, because this stuff I think is not right. All right, these guys are coming through here again. All right. I'm going to take a quick off-camera break to go deal with the neighbors, and then we'll be back. All right, we're back. Spidertrons are coming back from a successful escapade through clearing most of the area over here of pentapods. So, okay, where were we? Okay, we've got a way to seed the spoilage over here. I think we'll want something similar lined up here, which means that we need to be able to get spoilage this way as well between these pairs. This is going to be spoilage. That way we can seed that, and then we also need a way to seed the nutrients across like that. Now we're going to need some circuit condition stuff. So let's get that in place. Okay, so what we want is we want to add up the jelly and the spoilage that's in these boxes, and we're going to call that S, as we've done previously. So that's green one goes in there. This is the same. Green one goes in there. And then we're going to get these to be controlled like this. And this will only be enabled. All right, forgive the phone ringing there. Okay, so we only want to collect stuff if we don't have sort of enough stuff buffered up here. Do we want that to be less? I guess we want that to be less, yes. Okay, good. But then if we have enough, we may still need to process jelly nuts. So we need a way to get that stuff out of here. And so I think what I want to do is I want to get this guy, and I think I want to put them, let's get rid of this. And we're going to output these here, and then we're going to have the jelly nut fruit hop across here. And then this can be the excess. And for this, we can then put them on a belt like this and hop them up here. And then I think anything that's up here we want to burn. So that can be spoilage out of here. We also potentially want spoilage out of here. If I do this and we put input priority right, that should let us get this spoilage out here. And then anything that comes up here gets burned for excess. Okay, so that lets us get rid of excess jelly. So that's good. And then we want to control these guys with the same, looking at the boxes, except that this is only true if we already have enough in there. Okay, so that's what we want there. Okay, next, what we want is we want to look at when do we want to seed spoilage across here. And so I think we want a green from the left box, right from the right box. And so I think what we want is if on the left-hand box we have at least 100 spoilage, and in the right-hand box we don't have 100 spoilage, then you should say go. So we want that, and that's when this one can go. So this will be enabled if that'll be enabled if we have enough spoilage in here, but we haven't seeded enough spoilage in here, because we're going to want to eventually get at least a trickle of spoilage through so that we can sort of kickstart this guy. So we want that. And then we want something similar over here, where we look at green and red. And then that controls this one. Right, okay. So that allows us to seed spoilage across. And then we need to figure out when do we want this working? And I'm not quite sure on that yet. I want to see how this is going to work out first. So, but I think this is roughly everything that we want. Let me get all this stuff down to here. Okay. And then I need this stuff. This stuff for these guys. Okay, good. All right, so the next question is, this didn't quite work. I actually want this to hop across like this. Okay. And that means I don't need these guys in the middle. Okay. Good. What do we need to do next? We need seeds coming out. Oh, we need seeds coming out. All right. Okay, so I think that's easiest done here. So we're gonna say, give me your seeds. And then this guy can go here. And this guy can go here. And then we can put these in here. And I guess we need one over here too, but we don't need this guy. Okay, good. That gets seeds out, and the seeds go this way. I suppose these could actually be yellow belts, couldn't they? Some of these can be yellow belts. Let's turn these into yellow belts because we haven't gotten the fruit in yet. And so for that, I think we're gonna need to make these guys green belts. And I think we have to make these a little wider. So that put jelly nuts in like this. Okay, so we want this. All right, that gets seeds out. I don't need this. Good, I'll be able to get like some electric stuff in the middle here somewhere. All right, so now we need to reason about the like nutrient seeding here and when we want this stuff to run. Okay, I think what we want is we want to say, well, let's see, at least one thing we want to say is if I have jelly nuts in here, which I want to read the contents and I want to include the partially processed ones. So if there's a jelly nut inside, then I do want to put spoilage into here. because I need to generate nutrients I need to be generating nutrients until I've processed all of the jelly nuts that are on the belt. We'll control at this point whether we need more jelly nuts sent through based on looking at the contents of I've currently made this a requester chest just so that we would stop like fetching stuff out of here. But this will eventually become a passive provider chest. I have this connected to the substation so we can read it more easily. But basically we'll control this one based on, in this case, I have this set to 10 because that disables it for the moment, but we'll make this like 400 or something. So if I get to 400 in the box, then I don't need to send any more jelly nuts down to be processed. But as long as I'm generating jelly nuts, I want to process them. So, okay, so we know we want that to be happening. And so I think we actually want it on both sides here. Because if there's a jelly nut in either one of these, we actually want to generate nutrients in both of these places because we obviously need nutrients for whichever one of these happens to have a jelly nut, but then we also need to provide the nutrients for these guys. So as long as they're running, and they should be up and running with some nutrients, they'll keep getting spoilage in until we're out of jelly nuts, and then we'll stop generating nutrients, and that I think will be okay. So I think I feel pretty good about that. Okay, so let's get that put in place. Okay, so then the question is, what about this one? When do we want this to be active? And I think this one wants to be active. If we look at that green, and there are, okay, so this is, no, I don't want that one. I want this one. Okay, so we're gonna look at that signal. So we know we need nutrients over here because we've got a green signal with jelly nuts, greater than 0. But we only want this to go if there's no nutrients over here. And in particular, I think that means we want to look at the contents of this guy. So he's the one we can inject into. And so I think we want, in this case, I don't need the crafting. I do want the fuel. And so I think we only need this to be active. And okay, so we want, there's jelly nuts in one of these, and the guy that's supposed to be generating nutrients on the red wire doesn't have any. I think if that's the case, then you should go. And I think we control this. I think you're only active if we've got the green signal. Okay, that seems right to me. Okay, we got all of those put together, right? Yes. So then what I need is I need to grab what, like this stuff, and put it there and there and there and there. This is still the same, right? Yes, this is only active if that's the case, and this is the only time we need to put the spoilage in here as well. So so this is also only active if we've got the green signal for seeding nutrients. Otherwise, we don't need to generate nutrients here. Okay, that's right. Okay, good. And then I think we still need this thing here. We want the green in here. We want the red in here. It's the same thing. We don't need to buffer stuff. That's this guy. Your seeds are coming out. That's fine. You're going in there. But then we may have spoilage at the end of the road here. So any spoiled fruit, I guess we want this actually all the way at the end. Any spoiled fruit goes there, any spoilage goes there. Actually, this is like this guy. So any... I guess if there's spoilage in here and we do... I guess that's right. I guess we can put it in there, but it may be okay to put it in there. Okay, good. Good. We do potentially have spoilage that comes out of here, which we also need to burn. Okay. How do we think about that? That feels pretty good. And then I think the last thing that we want to do is, I think we also want this, which is, if we've got enough of a buffer here, so we should only try to send fruits down to the end if there's not enough of a buffer built in here. It's kind of okay if this is active and all of these are active. We just saw that 10 of these should be enough to consume the full belt, right? Each one consumes 0.79. We've got 10 of them, that's 7.9 per second, and an ag teller produces 7.5 per second. So we can consume all the fruit in the biochambers. So like once this is all up and running, there shouldn't really be any fruit getting down here, but there's no, we do need this potentially to send fruit down here if we need to build up a buffer in here. And that would only happen while we're like seeding the whole thing. So I think that's okay. I think this is what we want here. And then the last thing that I want to do, just in line with our regular, I don't have this in inventory. I need heat pipe. The last thing I think we want to do here, well, actually, I think I want to move this over. I think this is what we want. Well, let's see. We need power in all of this stuff. So where are we going to do that? I guess we want something like here, something here, and maybe we'll do a substation up here. I think that will power everything. So that's everything and maybe we need one in here as well. Okay, so if we get this, then we can do these guys and get power in here. And I think we get one more in like this. And let's see if that successfully powers things. So let's get one of these in there. Does that power everything? It almost powers everything. We just need something powering this guy. Okay, good. All right, so that's gonna work, I think. All right, so now we wanna move this. Okay, so I wanna put this sort of as close over here as I can get it without like running into stuff. And so I think we can put this here. How about here? then these are seeds, so they can hop here, and these are fruit, so they can come down here. Okay, good. Then we want heat pipe, because per our sort of general design thinking here, if we're going to burn stuff, we may as well generate power with it. And so let's see. I need like a little power thing, which I guess we can do 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. We need 7 steam turbines. That's the correct ratio. So we can do these. Okay, like that, and then we will need to get water out of here, water into here somewhere, so maybe like that. Okay, so that gets water in, and then we want to connect this up to the main power grid. Okay. I think this is what we want. So, let's do this. Let's change this back to the 400. And let's see if this works. Okay, so we got jelly nuts coming in, and I think this comes down here and starts getting turned into jelly. We get jelly nuts. Okay, yeah, so these guys have jelly nuts in them, right? Which means these guys should be active, right? Waiting for source items. And because that guy's active and he has no nutrients, this should be active, waiting for source items. Okay, good. So that's okay. This should come all the way down. We don't have stuff buffered, so they get down here. Then we make jelly, and we should make nutrients. Okay. We now have to wait 4 minutes for this stuff to start spoiling. So I'm going to go off camera. We'll let this run for a little bit, and then we'll check back in. All right, quick checkpoint here. I've been running for a little bit. It's going to take a little bit to get started because we need, for each one of these, the first batch of jelly takes 4 minutes to spoil into spoilage. So it's going to take, I don't know, 45 minutes or so to like get going sort of all the way over here. But we did get the first pair successfully up and running largely independently. So this is no longer active. So we don't have to, this is self-sufficient for nutrients. So that's cool. And we are processing, we're still processing some jelly here because we're using it for excess, to generate excess spoilage, which does make its way down the chain to like help seed the next one. Like you can see where we've got some amount of spoilage that ends up in here. Eventually we make a little bit of nutrients, then we can process the jelly nuts that are in here to make more jelly, and eventually this is generating enough jelly to make spoilage to run properly. And so it's just, you know, making its way down the line. So we'll be back once we actually get to the end. But I think so far so good. This is working as intended. The only thing that I did was I upgraded this inserter to be a bulk inserter, just so that to make sure that we had, you know, when we're throwing stuff away, we can keep up with whatever gets generated here. But you can see we've got a sufficient buffer in here. We've got 2.4 combination spoilage and jelly, right? The jelly will eventually become spoilage, and then so we're trying not to send additional jelly nuts down here unless we're borrowing enough stuff to sort of seed further down the line. And we send a little bit in, process all of that, and buffer that back up again. We can see even the amount that we let through generates extra. So But the main thing is that we're processing all of it into seeds. Yeah, we've got 3 out of the 10 kind of running at this point. So you can see the main thing that we need is we just need the first sort of batch of jelly to turn into spoilage, and then we'll have a nice pipeline of sort of aging jelly in here that gets produced. So that's really the main thing, is once the first jelly rots into spoilage, then sort of this pair should be largely up to speed, and then we can start seeding further down the line. So like I said, it's about 4 minutes for each one of these pairs. So I'll be back in, I don't know, 30, 40 minutes, something like that. Okay, we are back, and that basically worked. We managed to get spoilage all the way down here. We have over 400 seeds, and this is now turned off. So it completely shut down as we needed it. We didn't quite get some of this stuff hot enough to... Oh, here we go. Okay, cool. We can actually watch this... kick up again. So, do these guys have nutrients left in them? These guys still have unspoiled nutrients in them. Oh, that's cool. Okay, so in this case, they'll be able to start right away without having to sort of rebootstrap from the end, which is cool. And we should just see this come down to the end and get this stuff going. Yeah, these guys have nutrients in them galore, and so, yeah, there we go. We've got our 2400 all the way down here at the end. Lots of spoilage otherwise. Okay, so this is working as desired. So now I need to make 11 of these. And so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to get the 11 that are like furthest away from this stuff, because like some of this stuff might be harder to route the stuff around, but I think I can put all the seed processing like here and here and here and stand those all up. And so we'll get that into place, and then I guess I'll be back once that's done, and we'll see if there's anything else that was interesting that came out of that. So stay tuned. Okay, we're back, everyone, and we have our 11 seed generators here, Jellynut-only seed generators. The last one is still working on its seeds. It's almost there, 355 out of 400. The rest have all gotten themselves enough seeds and have returned to sort of dormant status without generating more fruit, which is what we want. We've got good amounts of spoilage stored up for like when we need to come back around. So that is all working as desired, and really the only change that I made was I updated the filters here. This originally was spoilage only, but I changed it to anything that's not a jelly nut, just because sometimes there was wood that when these guys were clearing out some of the space that was around them, and so just to burn the wood along with the spoilage is what we wanted. We obviously have a little bit of power generation for everything that is sort of warm enough to do so. Some of these are no longer warm enough. They're just, just right at 500, depending on how long ago they worked. Oh, here's one that's starting again. So we can see how this works. These guys do have at least some nutrients still in them. So this should just like start very quickly again. And we've stopped the belt here, so we're processing all the seeds with maximum productivity. So that's pretty good. And we can see here's the example of the sort of like trash jelly because we have enough stuff in the central spots here. So we're just getting rid of the extra jelly and burning it over here, which in turn does make this warm enough eventually to help out with a little bit of power generation. So I think that's working as desired. We then have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 that we can use for upcycling. That's actually more than we need. So I guess I will probably, I guess I will either, I'll probably just take one of these out. Is what I am thinking. So I'll just see which one is the most awkwardly placed and take that one out. But we're not quite ready to do the upcycling yet. I am going to rearrange this stuff, but we're going to wait on that. In the meantime, we are still closing in on getting all of the artificial Yumako soil there. As you can see, we've got about 951 left to go. So once that is all done, we're going to set up something similar for Yumako processing, but that is going to be, I think, a little easier because we have the sort of mash to nutrients recipe that, you know, we'll have to go check the ratios here, but I think that will let us generate. That's a lot more efficient at nutrient generation than sort of doing it from spoilage is, and so I think we're going to find that this is going to be a lot easier and a lot quicker to start up on the Yumako side. You know, we don't have quite the same heat value that we get over here, but the point here is not really to generate a lot of heat. This is not really the main point. It's more of just like when we generate heat, we may as well generate some electricity with it so it doesn't go to waste. And so that's more what that's about. And so we can see, hey, you know, this one actually went back to sleep again. So so good stuff here all around. We can see this is now at 392. So just even in the short period we've been talking here, we were pretty close. We've generated almost 50 seeds. So this is pretty close to quiescing back into dormancy, which is you know, a property that I'm very interested in pursuing for the Gleba base overall. There's something that I just kind of like about the design challenge of doing that, where, you know, if nothing's going on, it can just stop and not really be doing too much. But then when we need it to do stuff, it can kick back into gear and wake back up again without sort of succumbing to like getting clogged with spoilage and things of that sort, which I think we're on the way to getting there. But yeah, I think that's what we want to do. So we're going to end this episode here. So next time we'll look at doing this for Yumako fruits, and then after that, I think we'll be ready to start trying to hook up actually the science again. So so that'll be pretty good. So, but that's what we have for today. So as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Until then, bye.